Hey everyone, it's John with Seattle Coffee Gear. I'm here with a new machine from Deletta. Deletta is our house brand that we developed in part with Quickmill. We helped a lot with the design, and then they are made in Italy with our support and warranty backing here in the US. This machine is an update of a machine you might already know, the Bello. This is the Bello Plus, and the main benefit of this is we added a PID that has some extra features which you might be interested in, so stick around to hear about those. First, let's talk about the design of this machine. We're really proud of how these machines look and get a lot of positive feedback from our customers once they have them in person. They have a very traditional, classic Italian design with a few updates that are really nice. Specifically on this machine, they added some updates like an extra Deletta logo in the drip tray and some changes to the water tank and water reservoir. So it's very subtle tweaks. It still comes in the same stainless, white, or black, and those are all available for the same price, not an upcharge for the colors or the stainless. The design of this machine is kept very simple. There's really only the essential components on the face of the machine, like the status lights for power, water, the heating element, as well as that power toggle switch, and now that built-in PID. The PID is integrated really well into the machine, and through development, we did a lot of effort to make it feel really sturdy and ensure that it doesn't shift at all in transit. Front and center in the design of this machine is that beautiful E61 group. It has a nice black cap on the brew lever that ties in beautifully with the hot water and steam wand knobs. It all ties together really cohesively no matter what color you go with. Size-wise, this is pretty middle of the road for most prosumer machines. It's not too tall because it's about 14.5 inches to the very top of the cup rail here. It should fit under most upper cabinets, but the water does still load in the back, so make sure you have a plan for how you're gonna fill it. It is relatively easy to fill without removing it completely from the machine, so you could slide it forward, but at 50 pounds, it's definitely a sturdy machine on your countertop. Let's talk about the features of this machine. The main feature we want to cover is the big update on this, which is that built-in PID. Before we talk about some of the other functions that it offers, let's talk about what a PID is and why you might want it. To understand a PID, you have to understand how a machine without a PID operates. Traditionally, espresso machines have used a mechanical thermostat or pressure stat to regulate the temperature of a boiler. Temperature is important when brewing coffee. It's one of the things that affects how your coffee tastes. So if it's changing and you don't know how it's changing, it's going to be hard to get consistent results. With a mechanical thermostat or pressure stat, that device will set high and low points for temperature. So when the machine is cooling, it will get to a low point and it'll tell the machine's heating element to turn on. It'll heat that water up until it gets to the high point. That'll tell the machine to shut the heating element off. As the temperature is coming back down, it'll slowly get to that low point again, just as temperature is lost to the atmosphere, or you're using hot water from the machine and it'll need to heat back up. Hopefully you can see how this would create some inconsistencies in temperature, and it would be more difficult to achieve a stable brewing temperature. That's what we're really after. A PID helps to combat this by reacting faster to those temperature changes. A PID is able to send short pulses to that heating element to help it sort of flicker on and off, and instead of getting this big up and down change, you're getting this kind of small wiggle of temperature changes with things staying much more consistent. This leads to more consistent tasting coffee and gives you the ability to precisely dial in how your shots are pulled. The Bello is a heat exchanger machine, and sometimes I see comments, people saying, why would you put a PID on a heat exchanger? You're not controlling brew temperature directly, which is true. The PID is controlling the temperature of the steam boiler, which is indirectly heating water for espresso through that heat exchanger. But really what you're doing is giving yourself a little bit more control over brew temperature and giving yourself the ability to really control the range that you're brewing in. So say some weeks you're liking a dark roast more often, you can lower that steam boiler temperature and therefore lower the range of brew temperature. If you're drinking a light roast another week, you could raise that steam boiler temperature up, and that would also raise your brew temperature. So it's not a precise control that it's giving you, but it is giving you some more adjustability to draw more out of those different coffees. One of the great things about a heat exchanger machine is you can steam and brew at the same time and really speed up your coffee prep. Another good feature of this machine is the large boiler and large heating element. At about 1500 watts of power, it has plenty of power to recover quickly, and the PID also helps with that because it's able to react very quickly to temperature changes. If you ever host or have a lot of lattes to make, this could be a good machine to look at for those needs. Another good feature of the Deletta brand is stainless steel everywhere. So stainless steel body, frame, boiler. It is a very well built and sturdy machine at 50 pounds, as I mentioned earlier. As promised, let's talk about some of the new functions of the PID. The coolest thing that I'm most interested in is the pre-infusion. It works similar to some other machines where it's almost like a passive pre-infusion where you can lift the brew lever and it won't turn the pump on, but it'll allow a little bit of pressure from that heat exchanger to force a small flow of water out and really allow your grounds to saturate. There's no real dwell time, but it does help to eliminate some channeling and lead to sweeter, more consistent espresso. 2 new modes were added. There's an eco mode and a standby mode. The eco mode allows the machine to idle at about 160 degrees Fahrenheit, and so when you come back to the machine, you can just flip the lever real quick and it'll heat up extremely fast, back up to that 250 degrees, and all the metal in the machine will also be pretty hot, so your warm-up times will be very fast. The standby mode allows the machine to go completely cold until you come back and lift the brew lever or touch a setting on the machine, and then it'll start heating back up again. Both the eco mode and the standby mode can be programmed in 30-minute increments. So if you leave the machine unused for 30, 60, 90 minutes, it'll go into either the standby or eco mode, whichever you have it programmed to. I was really impressed by these additional features because they're super helpful and convenient. While the machine might not have auto on scheduling or things like that, it does have some of those extra nice features. Another feature that was added was the ability to change from Fahrenheit to Celsius. That's not something that every machine in this category has, so it is a nice thing that was added. Moving right along, let's talk about pros and cons. Obviously, the biggest pro with this machine is that new PID and all the features we just discussed. I think it's a great stepping stone if you need higher capacity, making lots of lattes back to back, but also want a little bit of adjustability for drinking different roast levels and different coffees. The other pros are things that we've already discussed. That large steam boiler, the ability to make a lot of drinks back to back, and the sturdy construction of it. The stainless steel everywhere, just the build quality overall is great on this machine. Talking about cons now, one of the cons is a counterpoint to the pro of it being a heat exchanger, and that's that a heat exchanger isn't going to have the same precision temperature control for brewing espresso that a dual boiler would have. There are trade-offs with the dual boiler, like not being able to make as many drinks back to back, but if you want super precise temperature control, you should probably consider a dual boiler machine, maybe like the Sylvia Pro X, the R58, or one of the more expensive machines like a Linnea Mini. Another con I'd like to call out is while the build quality is great, there are still other brands that surpass build quality here. Brands like Rocket or La Marzocco are still making sturdier machines than Deletta. The last con I'd say is I wish they had added some ability for auto on with this machine. You still have those nice eco and standby settings, but it would be very convenient to be able to schedule the machine to turn on so it's all warmed up and ready for you to use in the morning. Now it's time to make some coffee. As always, we're going to be using the Tony's Crew Brew blend. If you haven't tried Crew Brew yet, I'd hop on the website and give it a try. Well, that wraps up my thoughts on the new Deletta Bello Plus.